When the storm of spiritual awakening finally subsides, you don't find yourself standing on a mountaintop, bathed in golden light. You find yourself standing in the wreckage of your own life. We are often sold a fantasy that waking up is the end of suffering, a permanent state of bliss where nothing ever hurts again. But if you are listening to this, you know the truth. The fire of awakening has burned away your false identities. The illusions you clung to for safety have shattered. The mask you wore for decades to please society has peeled away like dead skin. And what is left? Silence. A terrifying, unfamiliar silence. You have survived the descent into the underworld of your soul. But there is no one clapping. No fireworks are celebrating your return. You are standing on the shore of a new reality, stripped of pretense, looking at a world that no longer makes sense. And as the smoke clears from your bones, the most difficult question of your life rises. What now? The old you is dead. The new you is not yet born. You are surviving, yes. But the hardest work, the work of living, is just beginning. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and looking at the life you have spent years building. You look at your job, your circle of friends, your daily routines, and your ambitions. Nothing on the surface has changed. The coffee still tastes the same. The traffic is still loud. But suddenly you feel like a stranger in your own house. It is a profound, aching alienation. You realize that this life wasn't built by you. It was built by a version of you that no longer exists. A version that was desperate to fit in, desperate to be loved, and designed to keep everyone else comfortable. This is the first true test of the awakened soul. You will feel a powerful, seductive pull to go back to sleep. You will be tempted to crawl back into the coffin of comfort, to drape yourself in the old costumes of performance, just so you can feel the warmth of belonging again. Because the alternative feels unbearable. The alternative is the void. In this space, your old conversations feel shallow. The social expectations that used to guide you now sound like static noise grating against your nervous system. You find yourself craving depth like a drowning man craves air. You look around at the people you love, and you see them still asleep. You don't judge them, but you feel a strange, hollow ache because you can no longer join them in their illusions. You are physically present, but spiritually you are miles away. Carl Jung had a name for this phase. He called it the night sea journey. Please understand, this is not depression, though it feels heavy. This is not a mental breakdown, though it feels chaotic. This is a dismantling. You have entered a liminal space, a threshold between the known and the unknown. Your psyche is drifting in the dark waters of the unconscious, unmoored from the ego's control. The mistake most people make here is panic. They try to rush out of the void. They try to quickly reassemble their lives, finding a new job, a new relationship, or a new label to stick on themselves, just to stop the spinning. But you must not rush. This silence, this not knowing, is fertile ground. It holds more wisdom than 1,000 spiritual books. The task here is not to fix your life. The task is to linger. To sit in the emptiness until your intuition, not your fear, begins to whisper the coordinates of your true north. If you can survive the void without running back to your old life, you will face the next and perhaps the most dangerous trap, the trap of perfection. We often think that after awakening, we must become saints. We try to become beings of pure light, never getting angry, never feeling jealous, always smiling with compassion. But this is just another mask. It is just the ego dressed up in spiritual clothing. Carl Jung warned us with a truth that chills the bone. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. The goal of your life now is not to be perfect. The goal is to be whole, and wholeness does not happen in the light. Wholeness begins where you are most afraid to look. It begins in the basement of your psyche, where the shadow still breathes. You survived the collapse of your identity, but have you truly met the parts of yourself that you exiled long ago? The inner child who screams for attention, the rage you swallowed to be a good person, the jealousy you pretend you don't feel, the sexual desires you are ashamed of. They didn't disappear just because you meditated. In fact, Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life from the shadows, and you will call it fate. This is the climax of your journey. The confrontation. You must stop looking up at the sky for answers and start looking down into the mud of your own being. You must confront the puppeteer in the shadows, not to kill it, not to shame it, but to invite it to the table. This is the work of the inner alchemist. When a dark emotion rises, when you feel a sudden spike of envy or a wave of irrational anger, do not push it away. Do not say, "I shouldn't feel this because I am awakened." That is spiritual bypassing. Instead, treat that emotion as a messenger. Every trigger is a flare sent up from a wound that is asking to be touched. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the keeper of your lost power. Your anger is the guardian of your boundaries. Your grief is the depth of your love. Your fear is the protector of your safety. These are not barriers to your enlightenment. They are the bridges to your humanity. But be warned, the ego is cunning. It learns, it adapts, it will whisper to you, "Look how healed you are," right before it leads you back into a toxic relationship cloaked as helping someone. It will say, "You are above this pain," right before you numb yourself with distractions. The shadow does not vanish. It waits. And if you keep attracting the same painful situations, the same betrayals, the same heartbreaks, it is not because the universe is punishing you. It is because your wound is still singing. It is singing to get your attention. So, the work now is not to fight the darkness, but to make love to it, to dance with your contradictions, to sit with the monster inside you, look it in the eye, and realize that it is just a frightened part of you that has been alone in the dark for too long. Once you have faced the shadow, something shifts. The storm doesn't necessarily stop, but you stop fighting the wind. You move from the phase of insight to the phase of embodiment. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where your philosophy must learn to walk. It is easy to be awakened when you are alone in your room, listening to high-frequency music. It is easy to be peaceful when no one is challenging you. But can you embody your truth when your voice shakes? Can you live with integrity when no one is watching? To embody your awakening means to choose alignment over attachment. It means you are willing to lose a relationship, a job, or your reputation if keeping them requires you to abandon yourself. It means you stop performing your authenticity to make it palatable for others. You let your truth be raw. You let it be misunderstood. Because you finally understand that your soul didn't come here to be liked. It came here to be lived. You become the archetype of the wounded healer. You stop trying to fix everyone around you. You realize that trying to wake people up is actually an act of violence against their own soul's journey. You stop preaching. You simply are. You hold space for others not because you have no wounds, but because you have learned to hold your own wounds with grace. You trust that their darkness is as sacred as your light, and in this embodiment you discover the sacredness of the mundane. The final stage of awakening is not found in a monastery. It is found in the kitchen sink. It is found in the way you wash the dishes with reverence. It is found in how you speak to a cashier, how you listen to a child, and how you breathe when you are stuck in traffic. Your life becomes your sermon, not your words, your presence. People will begin to notice a change in you. Not because of what you say, but because of how you feel when you are around. Your energy speaks before you do. And this magnetic authenticity begins to attract a new tribe. You stop seeking people to complete you. You start finding people who reflect you. You will recognize them by the clarity in their eyes, by the way they can sit in silence without fidgeting. These are the mirrors, not the masks. These are the souls who have also survived the storm. You wake up alone, but you walk together. Let go of the idea that you will one day arrive. There is no finish line. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You will circle back to old wounds you thought you had healed, only to find a deeper layer. You will fall again. You will hurt again. You will be brought to your knees by grief and love again. This is not failure. This is deepening. This is the spiral of becoming. Each time you break open to more light. Each time you fall deeper into reality. You have survived the spiritual awakening. Now your task is to simply live. To live as if your life means something. To live so fully, so honestly, and so bravely that your very existence permits others to drop their masks. The world is drowning in noise, in copies, in performance. The world doesn't need more perfect people. The world is starving for you. The real you, the one who has touched the fire and survived. The whole one. So, breathe deep, look at the wreckage, and then look at the horizon. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are just remembering. Welcome home. If you saw a piece of yourself in this story, you are not alone on this path. The night sea journey is quieter when we know others are swimming beside us. Please hit the like button to help this signal reach other souls who are currently lost in the void. And subscribe to join our tribe, a community of people dedicated to the hard, holy work of becoming whole. Tell me in the comments, where are you in your journey right now? Are you in the storm, the void, or the rebirth? I read every story. Thank you for watching.